If you, like me, are on the internet just a little bit too much, you've probably heard about all these liberal women who are angry that Donald Trump won the presidency, joining what they're calling the 4B movement. Now, if you're kind of confused as to what this is, join the club. It's a very strange idea, but we'll get into that. Essentially, it's a South Korean radical feminist movement where it's built around the 4Bs, or the 4 no's. The 4 no's are no sex with men, no giving birth, no marriage to men, and no dating men. This is actually very similar to the concept of political lesbianism from back in the suffragette days and, after, through the 60s, 70s, 80s. The women would just, they were straight, but they chose not to do anything with men and only to find comfort in the arms of another woman. But don't take it from me. I am, of course, a straight white male who, unfortunately, is partly to blame for Donald Trump winning the popular vote. Listen to this lady. She's going to explain it for you.
4B movement starting. You know what we're going to do? We're not going to dye our hair anymore. We're not going to do makeup. We're not going to use filters. We're not going to go get the skin stuff. We're not going to dress up and look nice. Why? So that they can come and act like they own us because we look like this? Absolutely not. No, y'all. The 4B movement means, we gonna be cozy comfy in our own skin. And everyone over here is like, yeah, get strapped, get ready, get prepared. But you know what? It's fine. Let's go. Bring it on. You want to fight? I'm ready to fight. Dueling, let's do this, okay? But at the same time, I'm sorry, you do not have control over my reproductive rights. You do not have control over my body. You do not have control over what I do with my body. Because when you try something, just watch what happens. This is being used without a filter. I usually do a filter, but you know what? I'm done using filters. Take it or...
Oh, what a tragedy. No filters, no makeup, au natural. We're going to be just in tears. I, for one, am heartbroken that this woman is off the market. And I thought that my white male privilege would allow me to walk up to her and forcefully penetrate her whenever I felt like it. Look, I'm not sure exactly why they're protesting in this way. The bodily autonomy thing is absolutely nuts. And if you think that that's not what it is, it absolutely is. Here, take a look at this one.
I was very blindsided by the results this morning. I've decided that cigarettes don't count today, and I honestly might go get a tattoo. But I also have decided that for the next 4 years, I am going to abstain from schmex with men. And funny enough, I actually just broke up with my boyfriend a handful of days before the election, and it had nothing to do with the anticipation of Donald Trump winning this election. It had everything to do with problems within our relationship and massive differences between who we were as people, which was unfortunate and sad. I wish him well, though. But yeah, as a woman, my bodily autonomy matters, and this is my way to exercise sovereignty over that. So I highly encourage any other women that are single and care about progressing women's rights and still fighting for our bodily autonomy to do the same. Delete your dating apps, because we can come together in community, and if you need somebody to cuddle or hold your hand or give you a kiss, I bet you one of your girlfriends would do it, okay? And you don't even have to really be gay, okay? It's okay to have a lot of platonic love for the next 4 years. I think we can look to South Korea and the 4B movement as a point of inspiration.
And there she is with the political lesbianism adjacent 4B movement there at the end. But I want you to take note of the fact that what these women are talking about is bodily autonomy. And when they say bodily autonomy or healthcare or reproductive rights, they're talking about abortion, right? And they're not just talking about any abortion. They're talking about abortion on demand, because everyone in the U.S., by and large, of course there's a good population of pro-lifers, but the vast majority of Americans agree that exceptions for rape, incest, and where the mother's life is in danger, all of those are valid reasons to have a medical procedure to end a pregnancy. Most of us agree with that. The problem is that's a very tiny percentage. I think each of those particular situations is responsible for less than 1% of abortions. So we'll be generous and give it, let's say, 5%. They're using these 5% exceptions that, by the way, once again, most Americans agree with, to justify the 95% of abortions, and I know the number's greater than that once again, but the 95% that are strictly elective. Now, and then they will bring up the, the economic hardship side of it. Well, I saw a breakdown the other day that factored in economic hardship. That was about 20%. The woman claims that she has no ability to take care of, to raise this child, to provide for this child, and so they choose an abortion. I don't believe that's a valid reason to end a life, but let's give it to them. That still leaves 75% of all abortions that are completely elective and used for no other reason other than birth control. Abortion for birth control, unfettered by any reason, is an absolute travesty, and if you think otherwise, you are wrong. You are wrong, and I don't know how you justify it. Abortion in the later part of the mother's terms is absolutely insane. Like the third term, the third trimester, the second trimester. That baby is fully formed and they're ripping it to pieces. But let's move pragmatically. Like, that's kind of my pro-life position. But let's move pragmatically to the reason that these women are giving for their 4B movement. They think that Donald Trump is going to take their rights away. I posted a compilation of liberals losing their minds, and so many of these women are like, it's going to be the Handmaid's Tale, and they're freaking out about that. Donald Trump outright opposes a federal abortion ban. Donald Trump also did not overturn Roe versus Wade. That wasn't him. That was the Supreme Court. Kamala Harris has no authority, by executive order or otherwise, to reinstate Roe versus Wade. It was determined to be unconstitutional. Anything that she could do would have been overturned by the Supreme Court. Kicking this legislation back to the states was the correct thing to do. 8 of the 10, or 9 of the 10, I don't remember, 8 or 9 of the 10 states that had abortion on their ballot put abortion back as a right in their state's constitution. That included states like Missouri, by the way. Missouri is a very red state. I think Trump won by about 15%. But Missouri reinstated abortion without limits. Without limits. There's no limits defined in that bill in Missouri. Florida said no. They needed a 60% majority. But that will be appealed, I'm sure, and they're going to continue to push for that amendment. I think it was 57% that they got, which is pretty high threshold. It's kind of crazy. There are many, many states where you can go and have your abortion. Now, I don't think there's a single one that bans abortion in the case of the mother's life at risk. At that point, it's no longer considered an abortion. But the point of all of this is, between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, on the issue of abortion, there was less than no difference. No difference. She was not going to do anything. And then let's go look at IVF. IVF is the other one that they tend to lump in here. Trump-backed, government-funded, and insurance-funded IVF. All of this is fear-mongering. These are people that are so brainwashed that they think that their rights as women are going to be taken away. It's the reason that they freak out when some idiot like Nick Fuentes, who's a Fed, by the way, says, "Your body, my choice." Obviously, he's trolling you. The fact that you're taking that seriously, you're choosing to take it seriously. You are choosing to be offended by that. You know that it's not true. You know what Nick Fuentes is. All of you know what Nick Fuentes is. Nick Fuentes is a smarmy little Fed who is going to say whatever he can say to get your goat. The 4B movement is a continuation of the crazy feminists back in 2012 to 2016 that drove this country to Donald Trump. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Donald Trump is not the origin of the problem. Donald Trump is a symptom of the problem. I personally do not much care for Donald Trump. Did I vote for him? Yes, I did. But the problem is that you condescending, loudmouth, whiny losers continue to call everyone that disagrees with you evil, Nazis, fascists. You blame every demographic that you don't like for the problems in your life. You take no accountability. You believe every word that's told to you by your university professors and the legacy media. I spent 8 years in university to get my master's degree, my professional degree. I understand the things that you're being taught. And frankly, you're not exactly massively intelligent if you believe them. If you go into college with an open mind and you hear the things that professors tell you when it comes to things like sociology, which I took, by the way, or different development classes. I don't even remember what my humanities were at this point, but I remember multiple classes where I run into this SJW stuff, as we used to call it back in 2015 when I first went to college. All I did was systematically read through it and toss it in the garbage because I knew it wasn't true. I answered the question they needed to get an A on the test and moved on. If you can't differentiate between the things that are lies and the things that are mischaracterizations, it means you need to read more, it means you need to get more references, and it means that you need to stop being so dependent on authority figures to tell you the truth. Because here's a hard truth for you. Authority figures lie, and they lie all the time, and it begins with parents. Parents lie to their children, teachers lie to their students, politicians lie to their constituents, professors lie to their students, coaches lie to their players. You have to be smarter than that. You cannot be so dependent on the authority figure to tell you the truth that you do not think for yourself. This is your fundamental problem, and you have issues. That's about all.